I was a blossoming young Hollywood starlet at this point in my career. The boots, I don't have those anymore. I remember Ozzy put them in the soup and catering. But we're trying to do Bon Jovi music because we want to get signed to get a deal. And that's the complete wrong way ever to do anything. Whatever it is that moves you and you feel that you love and you have, that's what you should be doing. That's the end of the conversation. And I remember we were in the studio and Keith Olsen was like, well, Zakk, what guitar tone do you like? And I just put on 10,000 Lovers and we listened to that. And
when the hell are the Wylde Audio amps coming out? Hey everybody, it's Derek, aka Mr. Shred with Masters of Shred, and we're back for another explosive episode of Pages in Time with a very, very special guest that may look very familiar to you. So before we get started, I have to just thank our incredible sponsor, Tone Arts USA, the Super Halen amp. You guys know all about it. Check it out. Link below in the description. And of course, to the mighty Psycho Pharma, the only supplements I use as far as my pre-workouts go, and a lot of other crazy stuff. You guys know Darren, Shrapnel Royalty. And let's not forget about the mighty Eric Boogs. Who can think about him? He's incredible. So check out them. Use the promo code MOS20. And let's dive in to possibly the greatest episode of Pages in Time that we have ever done. Okay, so let me paint the picture for you guys, and we're gonna give him the proper introduction he needs, okay? We're gonna go back to 1989. We're talking about March of 1989, so just to give you a scope of what's going on there, Tim Burton brought Batman to the big screen for the first time. Michael Keaton ruled the box office, rocked that summer. The Berlin Wall came down, and America and the world faced their biggest decision to date, Nintendo Game Boy or Sega Genesis. However, there was a new man in town. I'm talking about a young gun who was rocking the world with No Rest for the Wicked album that honestly has probably been played beyond belief, okay? And he had a special magazine that he was on the front cover of. I'm talking about the March 1989 Guitar for the Practicing Musician, featuring one of the most iconic guitarists, forget shredders, guitarist musicians in the game ever. Here we are live in color, folks, 2024. Give it up for the mighty Zakk Wylde.
Father Dave, what are you doing, Father Dave?
That's what I'm talking about. You guys see
Cheers
that?
for that introduction.
Thank you. I worked very hard on that.
If you can, when we see Barbara Ann, you can give her that introduction.
I don't know if I can do the same one twice.
I mean, because every morning we wake up, I look her right in the eyes and I go, "You're the lucky winner." She's not sure what she won, but I mean, you know, but you give her that introduction, she'll be like, oh, I guess I could stick around with this guy for a little while. So yes, what's going on,
that intro
man?
should do it. I am good. Thank you for having us here. We're
Well,
at
thanks for being here, bro.
Nashville Brooklyn Bowl, right? It's Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville.
Yes.
Zakk Sabbath gonna
yes.
kill it. Incredible merch here. I was just telling you about this. Thank you for these threads. These are phenomenal.
They'll keep you warm too. That's what we provide. Comfort.
It is the
You know
winter
what I mean?
season too. So, and
So,
Christmas is coming up.
It's basically as soft as this shoulder padded leather jacket.
You did it, but you wore it so well though.
This was I was a blossoming young Hollywood starlet at this point in my career, and I actually still got these pants. Actually, the guys that made these pants worked on Elvis's pants.
Really?
Yes, and my one buddy Dustin Jack, you know, photographer, he's a huge Elvis guy. But the patterns on here are the same patterns that Elvis wore. And, you know, I guess all the Aloha stuff and everything like
No
that.
kidding.
Yeah, no, when he was doing the Vegas stuff, those patterns, that's what they are.
Do you still have those snakeskin boots?
But I still have, no, actually these are at the, I think the Clive Davis Museum or something like that, you know, because he has a museum with all, like, you know, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, still got the Grail. The jacket, I might have to break that out on the next Black Label run. But the boots, the snakeskin boots, I don't have those anymore. I remember Ozzy put them in the soup and catering. I remember I go, where the hell are my boots? And I found them in there. But yeah, but this is pretty hilarious though, man.
And how old were you here? 20?
Yeah, probably
20 years old.
right there. Yeah.
Young buck, a couple months after No Rest for the Wicked
89.
dropped.
Well, this is 89. I was
Yeah.
67, 22.
Okay. So let's just hop right in. And again, anything comes to mind, dude, this is how it works. Feel free to throw in your 2 cents. Any stories, articles, you got it. Gonna hop right in. Shrapnel Records, gotta love it. Always the craziest shredders out there. Jason Becker, Coffee, Marty Friedman, Vinnie Moore. all those.
Oh, it was a great time for guitar. I mean,
Right.
it really is. I mean, when you really think about us all being fans of guitar and everything, you got to figure started between Chuck Berry, Dwayne Eddy, and all the guys, right? And, you know, just making that. Yeah, that's when the Guitar Heroes really started. Then, you know, I mean, as far as rock guitar and everything. Then you got going into that's the 50s, going into the 60s. Then you got the Stones, the Beatles, then going into all the psychedelic stuff. You know, between Cream with Clapton. Then you had Hendrix, then obviously Jimmy Page, Tony Iommi. I mean, then it was lights out at that point. Richie Blackmore.
Yep.
I mean, Alvin Lee. I mean, everybody at that point. But it was just 70s was amazing, and then obviously, you know, when King Edward hit the planet, you know what I mean. And then Randy, then Yngwie, that was lights out. Then Steve Vai, and then I'm just saying it just kept really a magical time for guitar.
Oh, it was, dude.
You know, but
It was,
yeah, so I mean, this is just a continuation, because obviously, I mean, it's just it's just life in general. When things are popular, you know, like with disco and everything like that. I'm just saying it just evolves. It's dance music, then it evolves into that, and now, I mean, if Studio 54 was around today, it'd be like Deadmau5 would be in there. It'd be rave music, and you know, it's just it just everything evolves.
And we're going to learn in this article that you did a lot of things differently with your playing that set you apart from all of this going on, as far as the tools you were utilizing, the styles you were incorporating. You discuss that in this article, which is pretty insightful to see that, because this was, when you play, you know, the full out shred like this, you're going to need a Floyd Rose, you know. You're going to need a lot of different tools, and you're going to go for a lot of sweeps and stuff like that. But you were steering away from that, and which made you so special,
you know,
too.
we always talk about this, you know, just as fans and music fans and everything like that. So it really is, it's just we all do it. You know, I mean, like when something's popular, you know, we all gravitate towards it and, you know, emulate it, or we incorporate it in it. But I mean, it really is the truth. I mean, it's just like when something's popular, you should actually run the other way. Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, if you don't want to be compared to it, or you don't want to have any of that influence, it's just like, no, we're not doing that. You know what I mean? So it's just, it really is the truth. It's almost kind of like, you know, it'd be like if Cream was coming, you know, Cream at the time, or actually a good article I remember reading about U2 when they came out, because obviously they were coming out late 70s when they started doing U2. And obviously the big thing that evolving from the 60s between the Allman Brothers, the Grateful Dead, Sabbath, Zeppelin, especially, you know, like they would take their normal studio version of Dazed and Confused. It's a half an hour, because there's a lot of improv. Right. And it's a great time for musicianship, because everybody's improv and jamming, and then you have all the prog bands and everything like that. And by the time, like U2 was like, we don't want to have anything to do with that. Like nothing. Like no influence from Zeppelin, from the Allman Brothers. You know, like I'm just saying, as far as stretching out jams and improvising. They were like, we're just going to play the songs and move on. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, which is, you got it, looking back on it, it's really the truth. You know what I mean? It's almost, I mean, you know, because me, obviously when this was going on, before I started playing with Oz, I mean, I could have been doing Black Label at this point, because I mean, obviously with Black Label, what you're tasting in that soup is everything is very Sabbath infused, and you know, Lord Iommi University. You know, I could tell you where all the riffs are coming from, because I can go, yeah, I got that at the Lord Iommi garage sale, you know, that behind a plate over there, that's Suicide Messiah. I got this one over here, you know, whatever. So it's all the music you love. But I mean, we were doing like Bon Jovi kind of music, the band that I was in with Zyris. And it was just because we could have been doing Suicide Messiah back then. But the whole thing is, or Stillborn or anything I did with Black Label. But the whole thing is, or the Gallows, the new song, right? Yeah. So we could have been doing that then, because that's what naturally comes out of me and the music I love. Okay. So, but we're trying to do Bon Jovi music because we want to get signed and get a deal. And that's a complete wrong way ever to do anything. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, well, this is popular, we should do this. It's like, no, you shouldn't do that. I mean, it's just like, what is it you love? Like, I mean, the Green Day guys trying to do Bon Jovi music, and it's just like, yeah, but we hear you guys playing a sound check. You're doing like Clash stuff. You're doing, you know, Sex Pistols. What is that? It's like, oh, that was one of our songs. It's like, why aren't you doing that? Right. Like, that's what naturally comes out of you. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, but I always tell kids, you know, like they got any advice from my son or my daughter or whatever, I go, yeah, whatever it is that moves you and you feel that you love and you have, that's what you should be doing, hands down. I mean, that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, so like me ending up with Ozzy, I was a massive Sabbath fan, massive Randy guy, loved Jake, and so for me ending up with Ozzy is like me being a kid, being a huge Yankee fan, being a Thurman Munson guy, and now I'm catching for the New York Yankees. So it was like, you know, like of all teams, it's not like I'm in Major League Baseball playing. I'm playing with the team I love.
Yep.
So, and that's what brought me there.
Yeah.
Is my love for it and that music. But I mean, but when we were doing Zyris, it was all for for all the wrong reasons. Because everybody in the band, remember Johnny, our singer, loved Paul Rodgers, loved Bad Company, loved everything. Obviously, we all loved Zeppelin.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, I was the big Sabbath freako and Randy and everything like that. And then, but our music sounded nothing like that. You know what I mean? Or there was none of that flavor. It's not that you have to emulate it or copy it, but like the Black Crowes, you could taste that soup and go, what are you tasting? I go, humble pie, the Stones,
right.
Allman Brothers. I can taste it all in that soup.
Right.
You know, so like Guns N' Roses, it's like, what are you tasting there? You taste any Sabbath? You taste any Zeppelin? I go, no. I'm tasting like early Aerosmith, Stones, the punk rock aggression.
You were in Guns N' Roses for a little bit too.
Well, I was jamming with the guys for a bit because I'm friends with the guys. But you know, with Slash when I first joined the band,
Yeah.
and that's when Guns was exploding.
Yeah.
I remember we saw them at the Felt Forum underneath the Garden, and you just knew you were witnessing something special. Like
Yeah.
you know, I remember when Mike Tyson started rising, you knew you were witnessing history. With Tom Brady and all I remember with JD, we just say it. We go, we're witnessing history right now. Like 30 years from now, like, you know, my nieces and nephews are going to be like, Uncle Zakk, what was it like when so-and-so was going on?
Right.
You know, just like how when I ask people like, oh, you saw Randy, what was it like? You know, they're like, oh, it was amazing or whatever. You know what I mean? Or what was it like when Derek Sherinian, you know, Clancy, Father Derek, he's the Van Halen historian.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, Derek, what was it like when you saw what was your favorite tour of them? He goes, Zakk, they were on fire. But when I saw them I think he saw him in the Women Children tour. Then he saw him in Fair Warning. Then he saw him, you know, where he could see where was the peak and when it was just on fire. You know what I mean? So to me, I mean, that's all of us as music fans. I think that's just, it's always interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really good point. Uh-oh. Do you remember that photo shoot?
Actually,
whose kids were these?
I think the girl, they ended up being the one girl that was on the cover of No Rest for the Wicked. Her name was Liberty, and she's actually became a famous British model.
Really?
Yes, the one girl that was sitting over to Ozzy's right, I think, over here. The little girl was sitting there, and then the two other girls that were yelling at him, these girls, I think I'm not sure if they went on to do anything like modeling or anything like that, but yeah, it was pretty funny, man. I remember Mark Weiss took this shot.
That's right. You went to Mark Weiss's wedding, right?
Yeah.
And you played with Kevin DuBrow
and
on vocals.
Sebastian was
Yeah. Well, that would be an experience,
hilarious,
huh?
man. Yeah, Father Dave, who was playing drums, was the one that actually saw me playing in the club.
No kidding.
And he was like, man, did you ever think about playing for Ozzy? I go, no, I thought about going out for pizza with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, but I really don't know how to get in touch with these magical, mythical people. You know what I mean? So yeah, but that's how the whole thing went down.
Do you still have that shattered Les Paul?
Yes, I still have this guy.
Oh my gosh. And
But,
isn't that Dan Lawrence? Did he do
no,
that for
we
you,
ended up, Dan Lawrence painted, he made it the Pope Page Dragon, I call it. So it's just it's a dragon now. But I remember I got rid of the Dennis Kline is the original guy who did that.
Dennis Kline did that.
Dennis did that
God
one.
rest
And
his
Dennis,
soul.
you know, being from New Jersey,
Yeah.
with Dave Sabo and Scotty.
He's a Kramer guy. Did
Yeah,
all
'cause
their.
we all went to, what was it? What was the name of the music store? It was, off the top of my head, it was down in Long Branch. No, it wasn't Musician's Friend. It was, I'll get the name of it at the end of the thing, but Davey worked there. And I remember Dave, you know, that's where Dave got his original snake painted. Dennis Kline, I think, did that one as well.
Garden State Music?
Garden State Music.
How do I know this shit?
Yep.
How do I know this? I'm looking at old ads in my head.
It was the best music store in the
Yes.
planet. Like Scott Quinn worked there. Scotty was a huge McLaughlin guy. And I got the Grail from Scotty Because he was like, well, Zachy, if you're with Gibson now, if you can get me a double neck, like John McLaughlin, right? He was just like, if you can get me the double neck, I'll hook you up with this guitar. Because it had the EMGs in at the time, and the back of the neck was shaved. So it was all ready to go. It was just a cream Les Paul. So I got him the double neck. So Scotty got the double neck, and he gave me the Grail. So, and then obviously I got the Bullseye put on it. And I remember Max, who painted that guitar in LA. Max, I wanted to get the Vertigo on it. You know, like the Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo. Yeah. And I came back, we had to do this photo shoot, and we were getting ready to do this thing. And he opened it up, and it was the Bullseye. I was like, bro, I wanted the Vertigo. He goes, oops, I guess it was like Animal House. He goes, they got the wrong tests. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's a happy mistake, though.
Well, you trusted us, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so then I ended up using the Bullseye. But obviously, we got the Vertigo, and there's a million other different designs now. But that's how that all came about. But it was Garden State Music, though, man. That was. I remember seeing Al Di Meola play there. Al came down and did a guitar clinic there. It was like Friday night in San Francisco.
Wow.
With Scott Quinn. Scott was playing because Scott knew them all because he's a huge McLaughlin guy and everything.
That is so cool, though, to hear those kind of things.
Amazing memories.
Well, what a good time. I saw this kind of ads. You see again a lot of shredded guitars coming out, Washburn pumping them out. You don't see a lot. Now, actually, Washburn's only electric guitar, I believe, is Nuno Bettencourt's signature line.
That's the only one they're making now?
Pretty much. All the parallel accesses were discontinued, I believe. So now it's just Nuno's.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nuno's a shredder, and Nuno
great shredder.
Can kill it, and then his guitar's amazing
right?
guitar.
This kind of weird ultrasonic Samsons. I guess that's their take at the EMGs.
TNT.
Yeah, love that.
Here's a good TNT Ronni Le Tekro story, who's amazing.
You talk about him in here, too. You love his tone.
Huge influence on me, man. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt. But I remember, the 10,000 Lovers, right? And I remember we were in the studio, and Keith Olsen was like, when we were doing No Rest for a Wiki, he's like, well, Zakk, what guitar tone do you like or whatever? And I go, and I just put on 10,000 Lovers, and we listened to that in the studio, because it's Ronnie by himself. He starts a boom, and you get between the bottom, the top, the mids, I mean, just the complete guitar tone on that. It's just like, this guitar tone is like insane. So it was just like, so basically he just goes, all right, well here, Zakk, just plug into this. And I think he had the same Marshall, it was the JCM 800, I guess that, Father John Sykes used on the Whitesnake record. Wow. So Keith had that one, he goes, just plug into this, and he had a Les Paul. I said, no, Keith, I want to use my Les Paul. So I had the Grail. And we just I was playing a Miracle Man riff.
You had the EMGs in it, right?
Of course, there was EMGs in it then, yeah. And so we just dialed it in until we could get the top and the bottom, like Ronnie's guitar tone. But that's what I used as a reference, was 10,000 Lovers. And then, so for all kids out there, when you're making your records or whatever, it's really the truth. I mean, whatever records it is you love. I mean, whether you love the production on the Black Album, or you love the production on a Pantera record, or you love the production on a Zeppelin album or Sabbath album. I mean, it's really the truth. You just A-B it. Like, if we're making a soup and we're A-Bing it to something else, it's just like, nah, it needs more Tabasco, whatever, we put more in, you go, that's perfect. That's it. So, I mean, there's no need to make things complicated. You know what I mean? So, yeah, because then you're halfway there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you because you already have the reference, you could look at it. If you were making a red, we would go, no, it needs to be darker.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that we just make it and then compare them.
Yep. No, that's very true. You got some great tone, too. How do you pay tribute to one of the greatest guitarists from one of the greatest rock bands of all time?
Tone Arts USA proudly brings to you the ultimate addition to your shred den. The limited edition Super Halen 1x12 stack.
Draped in the pages of a vintage 1990 Van Halen comic book, the Super Halen is a showpiece that can rock like no other.
Handcrafted by Tone Arts master luthier Sam Hill, no two Super Halen amps are the same.
Each cabinet is scientifically crafted with the highest grade materials to give you that monstrous tone that will light up the sky. Fully loaded with a 12-inch USA-made Green Beret speaker, a total upgrade from the Celestion G12M greenbacks that we've become so accustomed to.
Each cabinet is closed back just like Eddie's, but Tone Arts USA does offer an optional open back if your heart desires. Visit www.mastersofshred.com now to reserve yours today before you can't get this stuff no more.
We gotta talk about when the hell are the Wylde Audio amps coming out, man?
Well, we're talking about making them, but between, but then you have all the fractals and this and that, and then we're just looking into, I have them, obviously the design already because I'm using them. So,
Yeah.
I don't have them actually out here with me. They went over to Europe for the Pantera thing.
Oh, nice,
so
okay.
we get for the Pantera celebration when we get in February, at the end of January,
Okay.
February. So, but obviously those are just a bulked up design on my original Marshall.
Right.
Which the 800, the JMP and the 800, it's just it's like a pair of Levi's and a Fruit of the Loom t-shirt. It's just a simple design, but it's timeless.
Right.
It really is. It's just any of my friends that play through it's guaranteed to sound good.
What's funny about that, kind of skipping back here, they give you at the end of these magazines the charts, best-selling amps, guitars of that time. And you go over to the amps, and
Wow.
did you make the top 10 for Marshall? You got JCM 3005 over there, but you see what people were preferring at that time. Fender Deluxes and the
Wow.
Crate G40s.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these are
They're all
probably
practice amps. They're practice amps, right. I'll let you get to the Mesa Boogie Mark III.
Because practice amps is a like I'm saying, if we're going to be making them and we're going to go into business, are we going to sell a rotary phone or what are we going to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's just like we're going to go out of business. So the thing is, it's kind of messed up nowadays. Well, it's not messed up. It's just the evolution, just like
Right.
we're reading in there. Practice amps will be able to sell them. It's just like when I sold, when I was with Gibson, between my Epiphones and the customs, which both of them are great guitars. So I never had one where I was like the craftsmanship on all of them were crushing all the time. So, but the Epiphones, what are we going to move? You're going to move more of the Epis because they're
Low price
$600 to $800
Right.
against a $3,000 guitar. That's a once in a lifetime investment.
It's about 3,500.
And the same thing with amps. If you're going to spend $3,000, $5,000 on a 100 watt top, or you can get a Fractal, you know what I mean? I'm just saying a head, two heads and two cabinets. You can play here, Madison Square Garden. You could play festivals, stadiums. I've done that with Ozzy. You know what I mean? Whether we're
Right.
playing the Moscow Peace Festival, I'm using the same rig that I'm using here.
Yeah.
Or whether I'm playing the Viper Room with Zakk Sabbath, where I'm playing in front of 80 people, or I'm playing in front of 400,000 people. It's the same rig. It's just you're doing front of house and you're just bringing
Right.
it up through the PA. So, like you said, that's a once in a lifetime purchase.
Maybe
know?
though we could do small batch runs.
Well,
There are people out there, I'm sure.
But that's the whole
not a
thing.
problem.
It's just like if I'm going to go into business doing it, you got to weigh the options here. What are we going to do? Obviously the practice amps, you would move more, like you said, in here, practice amps.
Yeah.
You're going to sell more of a small Marshall practice amp than we are a $4,000 top.
Right.
And then you got to buy the cabinet. Then you got to travel with it. It's amazing how many bands I see, even when we're out on the road with the Pantera celebration. I'm like the only guy I know that uses heads and cabinets now. The majority of the guys I know now are just using all fractals.
Neural, Fractal.
Yes.
Yep, Kemper stuff.
Even when we're out on the road, Kenny Wayne Shepherd with the Experience Hendrix. Kenny was going through, he's using his amps from home that he recorded in the studio, going through his Fractal. So he didn't have to bring them out on the road. So that's what I'm saying.
Is that a route you would ever consider taking?
I love what I have. So
And pushing air is a good thing.
yeah, I don't even need it so it's that mind-numbing loud. I don't even think I'm going above even tonight, like 2.
Wow.
I got the master up all the way, but I'm about 2, and all the extra gain I got is in the Berserker overdrive pedal.
Right.
The beautiful thing about the 800s and the JMPs, you can play Highway to Hell, da-na-na, da-na-na. It's a great guitar tone, and it doesn't feed back. But if you want that extra sustain, you just step on the pedal.
Right.
And now you can hold the A, just like Nigel. Go out for
Yeah.
lunch, have a bite, and then come back and it's still sustained. There you go.
There you go. Solved. Still a bit of Striper love in here too.
Yep.
I want to get to this article because we're going to skip a little ahead. I always love this stuff. I remember doing this and trying to get the things. There's some EMG love there. not the most stylish of ads, but it's there and it's
Well, I
proving
mean,
the point.
the reason why I got sold on the EMGs, I remember when I was teaching guitar, I had my, I had a Marshall 79 combo, right?
Yeah.
Which great amps, so it's just with the master on it. I remember I was teaching one of my students, and he had I think he might have had a Fender Jaguar, you know, with a thin body.
Yeah.
And he had the EMGs. I never seen EMGs or anything like that. And I had my white Les Paul with, at the time, with PAFs in them before I had the Grail. So I remember I was just like, what are those? And he just goes, oh, they're EMGs. You got to put a battery in your guitar. I was like, battery in your guitar? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah. And he showed. I was like, I don't get it. All I remember is I played a G chord on his guitar through my Marshall. It was like, compared to my Les Paul with the PAFs, it almost sounded like somebody, when I played, it sounded like there was a moving blanket over the speakers. When I plugged his guitar in, it sounded like you took the moving blanket off. I could hear the highs, the mids, the lows, how crisp and how tight everything was. I was just like, and that's before I ever endorsed them, before I ever had the Ozzy gig, so I could just say I use, you know, or they pushed them on me.
Right.
Like, hearing is believing.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't have to be sold on it. It's just like, you know, using the distortion pedal, where you know, you go, man, I wish I had more sustain. You step on a thing, you go, that's what I wanted. So you don't have to be sold on it. I don't have to have you endorse it. You're like, Zakk, I want to use the thing. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's a good point, dude. Okay, here you go. Oh, clear water.
John Fogerty,
You gotta
legend.
love it. I remember these. I saw one of these on the wall getting worked on. I just like the F holes because they're lightning
I mean,
bolts. Probably not the best sounding.
𝙂DeMiolo with the Ovation, that sold it for me.
Gotta love these. The enthusiasm for learning how to play guitar. This guy was running this ad for about 20 years, I think. A little bit more of this. Sure. We're gonna get. I really want to. Okay, this is always great too. I saw that because they talked about the Trembucker coming out, and Blue Saraceno had one, and Brandon Ellis went on the road with you guys too, with Black Dahlia Murder. He got his own signature set, and it sounded fucking phenomenal.
There you go.
Not gonna lie.
Totally.
So a little bit of history there. Just love seeing the ads. It's just a great blast
I
from the
love
past.
it. Yeah, totally. Well,
You
it just
know.
goes to show you what
There
was
we
going
go.
on.
This is our kind of ad right here.
Oh, yeah.
Mega muscle.
You can tell he's lifting. Yeah, without a doubt. He just got done, you know, he just got out of the power rack, and now he's just crushing some solos. He's probably playing Heartbreaker right there.
There it is, 100%, dude. Hard rock distortion. There we go. DOD. Love that ad. Little satch in there. And then we're going to get into your Miracle Man notes they're talking about, too. About when you're, going to do the tab, because they have that here.
Satch crushing it.
And that's something we also got to get into here, because I always do this. We got to see the tab, and you got to tell me if, well, see, not all EMGs are created equal. Selects were
Without
not.
a doubt. I mean, it's crazy when I look at all the older guitar magazines, how many companies are either still thriving or how many are out of business.
Right. Kristen Pelletieri.
Yep, Father Chris, shredding it over there.
Right. I just heard there was an article that he was trying to try out for Ozzy, too, after Jake.
Probably, yeah, probably Chris probably did.
And that's the crate.
Yeah, Jimmy
Getting practice
Bell,
amp.
Father Jimmy. I'm buddies with Chris. I'm buddies with Jimmy as well.
Got a little CC DeVille in there.
Friends with
Gotta love
CC
that.
as well. CC's awesome.
What a moment in time there. Got some more Rockman. Everybody loved the Rockman stuff, too. Well,
The Rockmans are great. I mean, I remember we all had them. When you plugged them in, you're like, oh my
The
God, it
amps,
sounds like I'm at
yes.
Madison Square Garden in here.
Yep. Still holding up today.
Yeah,
Always loved that
they're
he
great.
played so many guitars. He didn't have one brand. He had like hundreds of brands he was rocking all the time, CC, on all the videos. Like he was
Yeah.
a guitar collector's guitarist before guitar
Without a doubt.
collecting
It
was
was
a
always,
thing.
yeah, it was always cool. It's like, look at all the guitars. Yeah,
Wildest
totally.
paint jobs, right?
Yeah, like
No
Toys
pun
R
intended.
Us, man.
Yes.
You can't go wrong.
Sam Ash, Edison, New Jersey. Remember that location? No?
That's sad. It's gone.
Of course.
Same,
This year,
crazy.
terrible, icon, gone there.
Well, everybody, you can buy everything off your phone now.
And you save a lot.
I
Barrington
mean,
was
Reverb, the whole. I love them all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? eBay. I mean, you could buy half your childhood on that thing. You know what I mean? All the toys and everything like
terrible.
that. So I mean,
And you know about toys too. I saw your wrestling toy collection. It does rival
without a
mine.
doubt,
though.
totally.
Here we go. Third luckiest guy in the world. This is about you. And this is crazy because they do talk about.
I need to get those Stonewashed jeans back though.
Those are some good Stonewashed jeans.
This is.
Those are some good
That's where all
Stonewashed
the
jeans.
power comes from, bro.
Well, you also wear that Gold's Gym tank
My
top
deadlift
too.
and squat went up as soon as I put those on.
That's
bro.
what it is.
Without a doubt.
That and the tank. That and the tank. Here's what I love though. This is where the narrating goes in this article, because the author is basically saying, Zakk's got great chicken picking, chops and great slide technique, but you really wouldn't know that much from this album. It's not really revealed for No Rest for the
Well, I
Wicked.
used
I
chicken
could hear it
picking
though.
on Devil's Daughter on that. So
and it's huge. It's not minute. It is amazingly powerful. So when I saw that, I'm like, and no slide. I go, has he heard Hero? Am I missing something here?
That was
you
cool
you
song, yeah.
demonstrated who you were. You put your stamp on that album. But by the tone of the article, it's kind of like, well, we really don't know who Zakk is till his next album. That's where the real test comes in. I'm like, get ready, brace yourself, because that next album's going to be the most successful one ever released. It's just,
well, once again, when things are popular, like you always say, you just go, we should go the other way. I mean, I'm just saying, if everyone's doing this, then you should not just go the other way. Because I'm just saying. So I remember when, obviously I'm playing with Ozzy now, and it's just like, well, what am I going to do to separate me from everybody else? So it's just like, it's the truth. If you don't want to sound like Eddie Van Halen, then don't tap, get rid of the whammy bar, get rid of, don't do harmonics, don't do any. I'm just saying, if you don't want to be compared to Jimi Hendrix, don't play with your teeth, play with behind your head, and have a Strat. I'm just saying, whatever's popular at the time. I mean, if you don't want to get compared to Slash, get rid of a top hat. You know what I mean? And don't play a Les Paul. Play. What does Slash not play? Slash wouldn't play a flying V. Get a flying V. Just do the opposite of what, of what's going on at the time. And I was just like, because Yngwie was, forget about it. The last meteor, as far as I'm concerned, to hit the planet.
Well, you also discussed that in here too about.
Well, I mean, but then get rid of harmonic minor, get rid of diminish. You don't want to get compared to Randy. Don't do the classical thing. If you don't want, I'm not going to have a white Les Paul. I mean, that's Randy's thing. You know what I mean? I'm not going to have polka dots on my guitar. If you don't want to get compared to Randy, it's already bad enough I got the blonde hair, because Randy's my hero. So,
right.
But I mean, just, it's like just abandon it and force yourself to have to take out all these crayons. If Randy uses red a lot, don't use red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're going to draw pictures. And Randy's trademark, let's say, is red and green. All right, well, then those two crayons are going out. So I got to figure out what I can do with these other crayons.
And you know what's crazy? We were just talking about this episode we did with Joel Hoekstra, and we did the 93 episode of Shred is Dead. It was Guitar World, and Joe Satriano's on the front like he was dead, and they were bashing the unholy hell out of Shred, how horrible it is, distasteful, all this shit. But truthfully, you look at all that scene from the late 80s and early 90s, you made it out of there. And you were still ripping, and they couldn't come down on you, and you weren't doing the typical Shred, arpeggios, sweeping, the whammy bar stuff. What you chose to do early on in your career offered extreme longevity, making your own sound, your own character, your own player that stood the test of time, where a lot of guys that were trying to one-up each other and do. I always said this, majority of players I felt like in the 80s were trying to chase Van Halen. And Van Halen was just being Van Halen. Would it be safe to say you were just being Zakk Wylde?
Well, look at AC/DC. Eh? I mean, they don't bother being phased by whatever the climate is. They just plow right through it.
Yep.
Yeah, because they're like, well, that's good for them. I mean, this is what we do.
Right.
And what you should really do is just worry about what you love and what you do, and go, well, look at what they're doing. They're having success with it. I go, no, there's nothing wrong with looking at Jackie Chan, looking at Bruce Lee, and going, look at the success Bruce is having.
Right.
But he goes, what can I put a spin on it that I can do? Because I can't do the seriousness that Bruce is doing in his movies. Why don't I add comedy to my movies? So he's still got all this amazing martial arts.
Very true.
But it's Jackie Chan style.
Right.
But he's still taking all the cool stuff that he's inspired by Bruce Lee, and just evolving it into his own thing. So I think, that's what I always tell kids. Whatever it is, it's a lot easier said than done, because it's staring at you right here the whole time.
Right.
But it's like, you think you have to do all this other stuff to get, so for me, even when I started playing with Oz, it's like, being 19, 20 years old, it's just like, all right, well, let's get rid of, I won't sweep pick, I'll get rid of the whammy bar, I won't use, any of the things, obviously, that Randy's doing classical. You don't want to get compared to Randy, don't do the classical thing. So, and it doesn't matter how good it is or if it's harder or whatever, people are going to go, yeah, well, it's a ripoff, though. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. If you don't want to get compared.
Chicken picking, squeals,
Yeah, well,
no
I love Albert
voids,
Lee.
stop
So I was like,
tailpiece.
how can I incorporate this
Yeah.
into, you know, and I used it on like Devil's Daughter, but I mean, you can't just push something in to something just because you learned it and I'm going to put it in this music. Like if it doesn't sound good,
Right.
you know,
it
it doesn't
flows.
fit the music.
You made it flow.
Yeah,
it all
I mean,
works
like-
together.
for the solo to Hell's Bells or Angus's solo to, you know, Back in Black. It's just like
Yeah.
perfect. I mean, it's iconic. But let's say if he learned, you know, just for fun, he was like learning some fast John McLaughlin licks or he wanted to do something, and it's just like, I want to put this in here and like try and stuff it in there just
Right.
because I can do it. It's like, yeah, but the one that you played is perfect, man. And he wants to put some blazing stuff because now the Yngwie's huge and Eddie's huge and Randy and all this like insane shred going on. Steve Vai's massive.
Right.
So it's just like, I got to put some faster stuff. I go, yeah, but the soul you got in there is perfect, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't force it. Because if it just comes out, it's like, man, that's great. What did you play on that? You know what I mean? I think even Ozzy said that with Randy.
Yeah.
He was trying to figure out what to do all the time on Crowley. He was getting frustrated. He was like, Ozzy goes, just play what you naturally feel like playing.
Yeah.
And he said Randy went in there and like 5 minutes later came out with that.
Isn't that crazy?
Without overthinking it and
Yeah.
stressing out. And Randy just went in there and played it.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
So then I gotta ask you this: is this accurate? Miracle Man tab. If you look at that, does that look accurate to you? We gotta do the test here. Gotta do the test. And, well, hold on, screen. Grab a Sharpie real quick, because you got to approve it. Is
Well-
that true? Is it real?
Well, I mean, just, I mean, actually, where I got this riff, because you get things from where you learn things. You know, you're a byproduct of what you learn, which is always a great thing. You learn things, so this way you can either tweak them, twist them, or bend them, and then it's just like, wow, I didn't even know where it came from. But I mean, that riff, it dong dong down, dong dong down, you know, from the F sharp to the A, the high A. And I remember when I was, you know, 16 years old, 15, 16, my guitar teacher, Leroy Wright, showed me how to play Purple Haze. I was just like, oh, this is like the technique that dong dong dong. And then somebody else I remember asked me, they go, Zakk, I thought you got it from Diary of a Madman. It's the same fingering. And I was like, no, actually, I got it from Miracle, you know, from Foxy Lady. But then look at how much that I'm just saying, like certain musical movements or whatever, it's just like it's in this song, that song, this song, that. But you wouldn't know unless somebody pointed it out.
Isn't that crazy? So that's where it came from, and this all looks legit to you? Is that because you know sometimes these tabs are dead wrong? A lot of times they hit
Some
it on
of
the
them,
head.
but I mean,
So were they pretty accurate?
Well, it's an F sharp, so you can figure it out as we're going along here. But
Solo, that's going to be the tricky one too.
well, I mean, the solo, you know, I mean, the arpeggio, and it's just like, but like you were saying, like how you can change things from being, you know, because I saw somebody playing like da 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 da, and it's on the B and the E string. Like I remember when I first learned Spirit of the Radio, I learned it on the B string and G. So it's like da 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 da, a super long stretch to the like 10th fret, da 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 da, and later on I learned, you know, it's an open, you know, Pantera over there. He does it on it's open string on the 2nd fret, on the E and the B. And it's just like, usually I think with all of us, you learn it harder than what it is if you're learning by ear.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you see it and you're like, no, it's like, no, that's wrong. It's this. It's like, oh, I thought it was, you know, it was this. I mean, Wylde Audiophiles said it in one of the articles. I remember he goes, his picking, what helped him out a lot was because he was learning all this like finger picking stuff.
Yeah.
But he thought it was with a pick. So he forced himself to learn how to pick like all these arpeggios and string skipping and everything like that, where the guy would be like, no, bro, it's just like this. It's banjo rolls, you know, or you know, flamingo.
We got also some Reb Beach in here too.
Reb's amazing.
Oh yeah, great guitar player.
Without a doubt.
Oh, Leslie West, legend too.
Him and Nuno, and I'd have to say Vito, you know, as far as as the King Edward, you know,
Tapping.
disciples of taking it and
Making their own.
making it their own thing.
Yep,
Without a
Reb
doubt.
and Vito
You know, their
all
love
day,
for
dude.
King Edward, but I mean,
Yeah.
to make it, I mean, Reb just, it sounds like and his love for
Have you ever met Vito
Alan
before?
Holdsworth too, though. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like Rev is just. It sounds like he's picking it, but it's legato. But it's him tapping, and it scales.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
So it's so fluid. Have you ever met or hung out with Vito before? Because I know he's kind of.
Yeah, we did the tour with Vito and stuff like that. So, White Lion with Ozzy on the No Rest for the Wicked tour.
Good Lord. You
Yeah.
got any good stories about Vito? You ever seen him practicing back
No,
there?
I don't know what Vito's. He's been out
The game for a while.
But I remember I reading an article with with Vito, and like the producer was like, "No, don't be putting any ripping on the record." And he was like, he was just like, "I'm out of here."
That was towards the end. That was '92 probably. They're like, yeah, the whole sound was changing. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would have been like, just keep playing, man,
Yeah.
because you already got a following. You know what I'm saying?
It's
That's
sad.
like
You know
telling-
what? There's a lot of guys that would change, and there are a lot of guys that did change, that did adjust to the genre of grunge and tried to implement that to keep the career alive. But the guys that were really stuck to their craft, not stuck, but made the name for themselves with their own character and own identity, took it, I think, a lot more personally. They didn't want to change, nor should they have to. Vito was one of those guys to me. You know, that was his. So many people conformed to
Well,
grunge
my whole
and heavier
thing is like,
stuff. He
as
didn't have to,
musicians, all of us, it's just like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? I mean, you're gonna go get a crummy job that you're sitting at and you're miserable, or we could be loading up the van, building our empire. I'd rather be loading up the van and us be our own bosses, without a doubt.
No matter what happens.
No, I don't care how bad it gets. We'll put the wedding band together, a cover band together, but whatever it is we got to do. But I am not going to be having some crummy job. As long as we're doing this and we're paying the light bill and we could pay our rent, we're winning.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. I mean, for musicians.
Very cool.
End of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're playing Madison Square Garden or we're playing the Viper Room in front of 10 people.
Yeah.
If it's paying the bills and we got to load up the van and it's freezing out or it's raining, I couldn't care less.
Wow.
Because if you love playing, that's what you do. That's it, man.
And here's more crazy wild guitars you're talking about.
Love 'em.
Conklin. You ever heard of them? Wild, dude.
Wow.
You don't see these anywhere on Reverb either, by the way. Very obscure, bizarre.
Love it. Well, this is like the Robin Wedge.
Remember, okay,
Yes.
very familiar with Robin. Robin is back, So they're actually putting guitars out again. They're taking old bodies that have been sitting in their Houston factory,
wow.
putting them, assembling them back together.
Good.
And dude, I got one of them. They're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I got one of the Raiders with like a great Kmart
Yeah, the
blue light special
craftsmanship
paint
on those
job.
things have always, whenever I've played one, they're great.
Woo, right? The
Yeah,
next,
without a doubt.
gosh, love it. A little Slash love here.
Slash.
Remember Randy Coven? God
Randy
rest
was
his soul.
amazing.
Beast.
He was a good
Absolutely.
dude.
Some
No
more
doubt.
products here. You got your Rockmans. They don't have the ads like the other ones did, but Westone. I always like seeing that stuff. A lot of little blues columns. People are talking, sending in their. Oh, there's
Vivian.
a little Vivian there, the nice one.
Vivian's
that was the
amazing,
time, dude.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, without
so
a doubt.
good. And then,
Vivian's great even with the Def. We just saw him out with the Def Leppard guys.
well, there it is.
Perfect fit in the guys, and
Yeah.
then obviously, those first Dio records are iconic. I mean, I'm just saying Vivian's soul, and like you said, Vivian didn't sound like Yngwie. Vivian didn't sound like. I'm
No.
just saying him being a Gary Moore guy, like that's where you could taste in that soup. It's like, what is what's Vivian? It's just like, but his love for Gary, but Vivian sounds like Vivian.
yeah, it's very, very true.
Which is awesome. So I'm just saying, like Vivian wasn't tapping, he wasn't doing any, because like you said, if you don't want to get compared to any of that stuff, or you don't want whatever it is that's popular at the time, and you just go, we're not doing that. Just
Right.
do the opposite. Like you said, if
Exactly.
I didn't want to get compared to Yngwie, it's like, oh well, Zakk, but it's he's doing harmonic minor, or he's
Right.
doing this, and then if I'm tapping, it's like, oh, he sounds like Randy and Eddie. And then it's just like, if I'm doing dive bombs or whatever, and it's just like, what can I do that, it's just like, well, you know what, because everyone's playing harmonic minor and
Right.
diatonic, 3 notes a string.
Right.
I was like, I'll just play pentatonic scales. That's it. I just go, and obviously I love Frank Marino and John McLaughlin. So, and they're huge. They're the pontiffs of the
Yeah.
pentatonic. So, and then you have passing tones if you want to put chromatics in there and stuff like that. But I mean, it has its own distinct sound.
Yeah.
When when Jimmy Page is playing, and I mean, me and JD always laugh about because JD's a Berkeley guy, but it's just like the pentatonic. Why is it? It's because it's the most lyrical.
Yeah.
No, you sing more in pentatonic than you sing in diatonic scales. You don't go da 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 da. You don't sing like that. You know, like you sing more in pentatonic. But that's why it's more lyrical. Even when you're just doing blues, you know, B.B. King licks, it's pentatonic. But I mean, but that's, I was just like, all right, well, let me take out all the crayons. Like you said, if that's an Eddie crayon, that's a Randy crayon, that's an Yngwie crayon, that just get rid of all them, and then let's see what I can do here. You know what? Now you're not going to sound like any of them because you're not using any of those colors. So, you know what I mean? You don't want to get compared to Randy. Then take the polka dots off your V.
Very true. Well, you're going to have to approve of this now. We reviewed this. We went back in time, 1989. You got to put your Johnny.
I approve it. It's got all guitar in there. So how can you? Even if it's wrong, it's good.
He approved.
You'll learn it the wrong way, and it'll come. You'll end up writing a riff from that. That'll be your own thing.
So, let me ask you this. Where can
twist, bend, crumple, stuff, you know, and then you got your own thing.
So where can everybody follow you at? You guys should know by now where to follow him at. And check out their incredible merch, too. But on Instagram, anything you want to plug coming up for the new year?
I guess we got the Pantera celebration going on, celebrating Dime, Vinny. And also, you know, Rex and Phil, this is an amazing thing they created. And we got that going on. We got the Zakk Sabbath thing going on. We got some more Black Label stuff, just writing some more stuff. I guess will be another thing coming out. We got the Gallows out now. That's a nice little toe tapper. A high calorie burner, you know, I mean, just like a pre-workout.
We're talking about
You'll enjoy that one, but so we got another song coming out pretty soon. So I mean, which is kind of interesting doing the album this way, because usually you'd make the record and release it. So we got a whole bunch of tunes done right now that we did at the Vatican, but it's like we're just doing a video and releasing another one. Then another one.
It's kind of the new age of doing it now today.
Instead of just putting the record out and then putting the thing out. So
singles like that.
Yeah, it's just, once again, how things evolve.
Very true.
Which is always a good thing. You don't, I don't fight it. I'm not the old guy. When me and Charlie were talking, he goes, well, where's the bands or whatever? You know, Father Charlie. I go, Charlie, you sound like the old guy on the porch going, get off my lawn. You know, it's just like, you evolve with it. You know what I mean? Like the fractals and everything like that. It's like, all right, well, if we're going to go into business, let's figure out probably selling heads. We're not going to sell tons of them. We could sell them to guys that love them. But, I mean, the big market is going to be this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all good and it's fun, and and we all love playing. So.
Amen to that. Well, thank you again for doing this, guys. If you don't already now, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, shred the notification bell, all that good stuff. Drop a comment, let us know how you like it. Big shout out to Zakk Wylde. Big shout out to our sponsors. Let's not forget about them as well. Tone Arts USA, Super Halen amp. Check it out. The link below. Incredible. Of course, Psycho Pharma, where I get all my subs from. I've been working out hard. We both work out hard, okay? We're talking about working out hard before this interview.
All right? Style.
That's how we do it. So check them out. Use promo code MOS20 to save a lot. And guys, pre-workout isn't just for shredding in the gym. It's for shredding on the fretboard. Sometimes it's just really great to have, other than an energy drink, which energy drinks don't do anything for me, even though I seem super excited.
Well, you're going to hit some of the Odin Force, the Valhalla job.
We got to try some of that, too. We got to try some of that, too. Now, because Psycho Pharma is a sponsor of this video, and I did tell them that we'd be sitting down together.
Yes.
They did insist that they just wanted to give you a package because they love you. They are a supporter of the mighty Zakk Wylde. And we got you Mr.
Bring it on.
Rick Boogs.
Thank you.
There it is, Eric Boogan.
We might have to have Rick come out with the Warrior tonight.
We
might have to have him.
You got to tag us. You got to tag Masters of Shred if you do it. Definitely. That'd be great. Thank you guys for watching.
Cheers, brothers.
Later that night.
Yeah.